gap analysis and prioritization. You've identified where you are, you've set goals for where you want to be. Now comes the critical step, gap analysis. This is simply the process of comparing your current state to your desired future state and identifying what needs to happen to close that gap. Let me give you a concrete example. Let's say your assessment showed that your current carbon emissions are 250 tonnes of CO2 per year, and you've set a goal to reduce that to 200 tonnes by the end of 2027. The gap is 50 tonnes. Now you need to figure out how to close that gap. Where are those emissions coming from? What are the biggest sources? What reduction opportunities exist? Or let's say your current gender diversity is 35% female across your workforce and your goal is 50% by 2026. The gap is 15 percentage points. How many new hires does that represent? What does that mean for your recruitment strategy? Do you need to change where you advertise jobs or how you write job descriptions? Or your current training provision is 12 hours per employee per year and your goal is 24 hours. The gap is 12 hours per employee. If you have 200 employees, that's 2,400 additional training hours you need to deliver. What will that cost? Who will deliver it? What topics will you cover? This is your gap analysis. It's about making your goals concrete and tangible. But here's where it gets challenging. When you do this exercise across all of your goals, you'll quickly realise that you have more gaps than you have the resources to address them. You can't do everything at once, so how do you decide what to tackle first? This is where prioritisation becomes critical, and the tool I recommend is the Impact Effort Matrix. Here's how it works. You take all of the actions you could potentially take to close your ESG gaps, and you plot them on a simple 2x2 grid. On one axis, you have the impact of the action. How much will it move the needle on your ESG performance? On the other axis, you have the effort required. How much time, money, and resources will it take? This gives you 4 quadrants. The top left quadrant is high impact, low effort. These are the actions you should prioritise because they deliver significant results without requiring massive investment. Do these first. The top right quadrant is high impact, high effort. These are your strategic projects. They're important and they'll make a big difference, but they require significant resources and time. You should definitely do these, but you might need to phase them over time. The bottom left quadrant is low impact, low effort. These are your fill-ins. They're easy to do, but they don't move the needle much. But do these if you have spare capacity, but don't prioritise them. And the bottom right quadrant is low impact, high effort. These are your time wasters. Don't do these at first. They consume resources without delivering meaningful results. Let me give you some examples of what typically falls into each quadrant. Quick wins. High impact, low effort. Formalising policies that already exist informally. You're already doing the work, you just need to write it down. Consolidating data you're already collecting. You have the data, you just need to organise it. Switching to LED lighting. It's a one-time investment with immediate energy savings. Implementing a basic recycling program. It's relatively easy and it reduces waste. Strategic projects, high impact, high effort. Calculating your full carbon footprint across all 3 scopes. This is important, but it requires expertise and time. Conducting a comprehensive supply chain audit. This is critical for supply chain transparency, but it's resource intensive. Implementing a full diversity and inclusion program. This is valuable, but it requires sustained effort and cultural change. Installing an energy management system. This delivers significant savings, but it requires upfront investment. Fill-ins, low impact, low effort. Creating a sustainability page on your website. It's relatively easy, but it doesn't actually improve your ESG and performance. Signing up for an environmental certification that doesn't require any real change. It's a badge, but it doesn't drive improvement. Arguably time wasters, low impact, high effort, conducting a detailed biodiversity assessment when you operate from an urban office building is not material to your business. Implementing a complex ESG software system before you've even collected basic data, you're not ready for it yet. The key is to be honest about what will actually make a difference for your business and your stakeholders. Now, let's talk about resource allocation. You need to think about 4 types of resources. Time. How many hours can you realistically dedicate to ESG initiatives? If you're a small business, you might only have a few hours per week. That's fine, but it means you need to be really selective about what you take on. Budget. How much money can you invest? Some ESG initiatives are free or even save you money. Others are going to require upfront investment. Be realistic about what you can afford. People. Who's going to do this work? Do you have someone who can take ownership of your ESG program, or is it going to be spread across multiple people? Do you need to hire external expertise for certain tasks? And expertise, what skills do you have in-house and where do you need help? You might be able to handle health and safety data yourself, but you might need a consultant to help with carbon accounting. Based on your resources, you can start to build a realistic timeline. Short-term goals, 0 to 6 months. These should be your quick wins, things you can achieve quickly to build momentum and demonstrate progress. Medium-term goals, 6 to 12 months. These are slightly more complex initiatives that require more planning and resources. Your longer-term goals, 12 months plus. These are your strategic projects that will take sustained effort over time. Here's the psychology of this. If you start with a strategic project that will take 18 months to complete, you'll struggle to maintain momentum. But if you start with some quick wins that you can achieve in weeks or months, you'll build confidence, you'll demonstrate value, and you'll create momentum that carries you through the longer-term projects. So my advice is this: identify 3 quick wins that you can achieve in the next 3 months. Get those done, celebrate them. Use them to prove to yourself and your team that ESG is achievable. Then move on to your medium-term goals and eventually your strategic projects. Remember, ESG is a marathon, not a sprint. It's better to take steady, consistent progress than try to do everything at once, get overwhelmed, and give up. In the next module, we're going to talk about how to actually execute on these priorities. We're going to build on your roadmap for improvement.